Janey Grace. Welcome to the Natural Health and Sobriety Show on UK Health Radio. Hi, and welcome to the Natural Health and Sobriety Show on UK Health Radio. I'm Janey Grace, and I'm just so excited about the guests that I'm going to bring to you this week. As you well know, I like to cover all kinds of different topics. That's, I think, the beauty of being interested in holistic health and well-being and spirituality and now sobriety. And this guest, today's guest, really does sum up that holistic picture, and actually with bells on. Now, Sonja Grace is, well, she has so many strings to her bow, as it were, that I'm not quite sure where to start, but we'll get into that. But most certainly, she is queen of energy. She is a healer. She's a spiritual healer. She has so many layers to what she does. And I was just incredulous when I read that she is also has many, many years of sobriety. And she considers that all of the work that she does is because she believes that every day she's in service, as she calls it, due to her sobriety. And it's just such an amazing thing. I think you're going to absolutely love this interview with Sonja. Just to preempt this, we do talk a little bit about energy healing. We do get into some relatively woo-woo stuff. So, you know, if that's not for you, that's all right. Just move on. But be open-minded, because the stuff that Sonja is talking about is so powerful. And actually, when you do start digging deeper into, the science behind some of this stuff, then, it really is there to find. So enjoy the interview. I'm so excited about this interview. My guest is award-winning author Sonja Grace, who is an internationally even known mystic, teacher and healer. Sonja, welcome to the show. I'm not going to do a massive introduction because I'd rather just chat to you because, oh my goodness, I don't know where to start. Really. You've got so much going on. It's fabulous. Thank you for thank you for agreeing to chat to us. I suppose maybe before we get into all of your incredible work, we should say that you are 41 and a bit years sober. 42 years sober. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Tell me a bit about that. Yeah. How does that feel? How amazing.
I feel like a child when they say, I'm not 6, I'm 6.5.
I know
42 years is a long time. And yes, I've been sober longer than I have not been sober. I had 10 years from early on until I was 23, that I nearly died, and lots of really difficult things were happening for me. And I have 42 years of sobriety, and my early life, childhood, dysfunctional family, socially acceptable dysfunctional family, and a lot of using time growing up in the 60s, 70s, and being in that groove of everybody's doing drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
I had a death experience as a result of that. And when I did get sober, I was actually studying with my first teacher, and the energy started to change. My whole body started to change, and I got a migraine that lasted 3 days. And I laid on the floor of my house, unable to move. I mean, literally not able to move. And it was very clear. It was like, God coming in and saying, okay, you're going to get the message now. And, the night that I did actually have a death experience, and I was brought back by a nurse down the street, I did see God right in front of me, right in my face.
Wow.
Saying, you came here with a very, very important purpose. You're a healer. You need to get it. If you don't get it, you won't survive it. And that's, of course, then when I moved, I went to San Francisco and sat in front of my first teacher. But I didn't get the whole message, which is what brought about, the migraine. It's like, oh, well, you got part of the message, but now you need to get the whole message. So since then, 42 years later, I am really grateful. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about how important it is that we stay in gratitude, because I was going to talk to you about this today. There's such a prevailing feeling of arrogance going on, especially in the spiritual community. And I'm sort of like up to here with it, because people are forgetting our gratitude. We're forgetting that the path that we're walking is not paved with a lot of really shiny, sparkly, golden things. A lot of times it's a difficult path. Even after we get sober, it can be very difficult.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage your listeners to remember their gratitude.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the fact that that it's really important to you to get that half a year in, because how brilliant that after so many years it feels so important. I love that. When I was in my sort of first year of sobriety, I remember thinking, well, I wonder if it all kind of goes flat after that first year. Oh my goodness, not at all. It's literally that gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? I wish I had a better phrase for that, but in fact, I did
no, it's true.
I did this little competition. If anyone can give me a better phrase, I'll find them a nice prize, because it really is that gift that keeps on giving. Every single year it gets better, every year. And I love it that people like you, and we hear about celebs and people like Elton John who've been sober for goodness knows how many years, and Anthony Hopkins.
32. He's got 32 years.
And they talk about it all the time. They talk, Elton celebrates his soberversary above his regular birthday. How fantastic. And it really is. I just absolutely love it. It's so impressive and just so powerful. And as you say, just that gratitude every day. I love it.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Anyways, we must talk about some of your work, and honestly, not sure where to start, because there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that you do here. Where shall we start? Tell me a little bit about.
I'll launch.
You launch, and I'll ask you questions.
I'll launch, and then you ask. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
So, for 42 years, I've been a healer, and what that means is I started out as a hands-on healer. And then I worked with over many years, 3 different teachers, of which then I learned a long distance healing technique that I do now exclusively. I have clients in Australia, Singapore, Europe, where you are, London. I've got clients all over the world, and I don't have to be in front of someone in order to work on them. And what that means is I'm able to transport. I'm able to transport myself. I call it spirit traveling. And I'll explain that in a minute. I'm able to put myself in front of someone and look at them, scan them. I do a full body scan. I let them know how their lungs look, their liver, their pancreas, their kidneys. And I work on all of this. I'm like an energy surgeon. I've done, the equivalency of triple bypass surgeries.
Wow.
I've got doctors who are clients of mine. I have cardiologists who refer people to me. I have naturopaths, chiropractors. 40% of my clientele are psychologists. And the reason for that is I do really deep emotional processing work. And the difference between me and a psychologist is I'm working on the person energetically while we're doing processing work. So it's felt at a much deeper level, and it actually is sort of making more headway because we're excavating those emotional wounds out of the body. And I believe that our process is why we're here. It is absolutely connected to karma. Karma is nothing more than unresolved emotional wounds. So we're here to work through that stuff. And, going back to addiction really keeps us from looking at what our stuff is. Like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to feel good. And so it's intense working with me, because I really hold people's feet to the flame, as the last woman who interviewed me said. She's a doctor, and she really was going down that road of integrity and accountability. And I told her, you cannot do this work without having really committed yourself to the deep inner processing work that needs to be done. There's way too many healers out there that are wounded healers.
Yeah.
And they're not addressing their own stuff. They're just willy-nilly out there telling everybody how the buffalo roam. And, you know, it eventually catches up to them, because a lot of them call me and say, oh, I've got something on me. And of course, they worked with someone and got something attached to them. And I clear entities, I clear alien stuff, I take implants out of people's bodies. I mean, I see all levels of the astral plane, from the lowest, smarmiest things all the way up to angels and demigods. And I do choose in my daily life, through my meditation, to stay focused and sort of in that realm of working with angels. That's who I work with. Yeah. My guides are highly evolved angelic beings, and they've been with me through all my lifetimes. So you know, this is my path. And, you know, I started out as a professional ballerina. I trained in classical ballet, and I performed. I was on stage at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival for years, and, you know, was an actress and a dancer. And I'm really grateful for that time, because it gave me a chance to kind of work out a lot of that stuff that I needed. I got to be on stage. I got to, you know, do my thing. And yet what I found, especially being at the Shakespeare Festival, is I kept working through a lifetime I had in England in the 1500s. And it was perfect. I got to totally dress up and be in costume for it. And I really appreciate that time. It taught me that I needed to be where I am now, and I needed to learn some things, particularly in dance, about time and space. You know, if you know anything about ballet or dance, chaîné turns are really fast turns. You go across the stage or the studio, wherever you are. And there's the idea of, you know, we all count to 8, or it's 4/4 time, or it's, you know, whatever the music is. So how many chaîné turns can you do to the count of 8? And I was always sort of in the land of physics, trying to, like, oh, wow, I can do 16. Oh, I know I can do 24. I mean, you know, you're changing that perception of time and space. And that's where I arrived as a spirit traveler. In my meditation, when I go in, I do a grounding meditation that is the basis of what I teach everywhere. And I literally experience my body dissolving into granular sand. Just, it dissolves, and it goes into everything in the room. And it's after that then my guides, high angelic beings, hold their hands out, and I take their hand and we go. And I'm able, and it's my soul body, it's my etheric body that's going. So I'm literally leaving my body and I'm going somewhere. I experience rain, I experience cold, I experience, you know, the elements. And we go back in time, and it's wild. I wrote the first book, Spirit Traveler, and it's going to some of these sacred sites, including Stonehenge, and really uncovering what happened. Why did it happen? Who built it? What was done here? And I'm just finishing my second Spirit Traveler book, so I'm excited. That'll be coming out hopefully by the end of this year. And I have this connection, you know, like I said, when I work on people, I'm able to put myself in front of them. Well, the same is true then in the process of spirit traveling. It's not astral projection, which a lot of people can relate to. it's a whole different process that happens. And I have to be careful. I don't go anywhere without my guides, because there's some rather, gnarly things out there, especially in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's going to be a lot of people listening. You're just thinking, I've no idea what she's talking about. This is completely woo-woo. I don't get it.
Right.
But, as you say, you have lots of clients who are doctors, psychologists, other therapists. And, what one thing is for sure, as you said, there are lots of therapists and lots of people working with energy or working as healers in some capacity, but they haven't looked at some of the basics, in inverted commas. And just going back to alcohol for a minute, that's one of the things that has really frustrated me immensely. When I look back and I realize all those years that I went to see, therapists and various professionals, I did occasionally say to them, I'm a bit worried about my drinking. And somebody, there were therapists who said, oh, well, I'll clear your energy field. Or one did say to me, oh, you might have an entity. And I had all kinds of stuff kind of basically thrown at me. But nobody ever said, oh, okay, well done you for noticing that. How amazing that you've opened your eyes, because life is so much better without alcohol. Nobody ever said that. It was always just a case of, oh, well, I'll see if I can clear your energy field, and then maybe try having a glass of water between each glass of wine, right? And this
for heaven's sake.
But that was the kind of stuff that keeps us stuck. And it is the case with an awful lot of therapists and healers, I'm sad to say, because what I'm getting to is what I know you'll absolutely agree, is that alcohol lowers your vibration. It means that you are not able to be in touch with spirituality, with energy. And I know it kept me stuck for so many years. I knew all of the stuff on paper. I was a Hay House author. I absolutely knew it all, but I couldn't experience it for me, because alcohol was in the way. It was literally in the way.
So this is really, really important, because I feel, like a bit of an albatross in my industry. I'm one of the only healers I know who has 42 years of sobriety.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have really stuck to that because, we have God talking to me, and then we have the fact that my filters need to be clear in order to even try to do the work that I do. The fact that I have people I had a guy who was on his way to surgery 2 hours before surgery, had blockage in his heart. His wife calls, please, can you work on him before he goes in? I went in, cleaned out the artery, put a stent in, everything got back, looked good. He went in, they opened him up, and the doctor said, well, there's no blockage here.
Oh, wow.
Put him back together. Yeah. And that happens. Those things can happen. But the difficulty that people face today, in my humble opinion, is we are a highly addicted society.
Yeah.
If it's not alcohol, it's pot. If it's not pot, it's pharmaceuticals. If it's not that, it's shopping, it's gaming, it's texting, it's the internet, it's all these things that really dial us in our brain on an addiction level. And so when I'm working with people, I had a woman who called me the other day and said, oh, my husband, he drinks too much. And, I'm really worried. I'm scared. My child, blah, 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 this whole story. And, I worked on them, and I did clear them, because I do that. There were lots of entities that happens with people who were drinking. I cleared them. But my message to her was, he needs treatment now. You need to get out of there now. I'm very practical when it comes to, impending danger.
Yeah.
And what people need. And I'm the first one to tell someone, if I see something in their body, you need to go get a scan. You need to go see your doctor and then come back to me, and we'll work on this.
Yeah.
Because it all works in concert. There is no, oh, I fixed the whole thing. I mean, I've got cancer patients up the yin yang that are, dealing with their oncologists. They're working with me. They've got their acupuncturist. They go to, vitamin C infusion therapy. I mean, there's all this stuff working in concert.
Yeah.
So I hear you on the, okay, no one's really addressing what the problem is. And again, being someone who comes from long-term sobriety, I just use the word feet to the flames, man. I call it out.
Yeah, totally.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
And now I know you've said that, you think we should learn to manage our energy, as we learn to manage our physical bodies. How can we start to manage our energy? For someone who's brand new to all of this, where do they start? Someone who's perhaps been sober for a little while, right, and they're starting to become aware. Okay, there is something else. What can they do? Where can they start?
Well, I have a grounding meditation that is the foundation of my work. And it's on my website. There's me on a film talking you through it. There's an MP3 download. Mm-hmm. It is connecting your energy centers through a cone of energy down into the earth. And I talk you through it. It's a practice that is phenomenal because it is redirecting what we normally do with our energy. For example, someone's walking down the street, you got a whole bunch of people passing you on the street, but everybody notices that one person. And you're looking at that one person going, God, what is it about them? Because maybe they're not super attractive, but there's just an energy about them. And if you can see energy like I can, what you would see is their second chakra, their belly chakra energy going out and connecting with everyone on the street. So you're looking at them like, wow, and they've just got that sexual energy going out towards everyone. And you have no idea, most people, what's coming at you. So what I teach is when we ground that energy and we're receiving earth energy up into our bodies, we're actually much more aligned with what we're here to do. We're much more aligned. It doesn't mean we're not sexual anymore. It means that we actually have more energy. And that's the thing that people are forgetting with the planet is she's the reason we're here. She is why we came here. And the fact that our bodies are 60% water and her body is 71% water, and water is the connector of all things in the universe. My God, connecting our energy into the earth is like, it's like putting a superpower on your car, whoa, now you can go.
So a really simple exercise would just be take your shoes off and stand on the earth, right? That's the starting point.
Actually, one exercise I do that really helps people is to imagine a river of water running through the top of your head, down your legs, out your feet, into the ground, down your arms, out your hands, into the ground. And you just let that water wash anything that doesn't need to be there. Yeah, that's a good one. Down into the earth. And then change the color of the river and let it fill up your whole body. And that way you're kind of cleansing yourself, you're grounding into the earth, and then you're changing the color so that you're getting what you need. Yeah. It's all coming from source.
Yeah, I love that. Tell us a little bit about your background, some of the sort of work that you've done. And I know that you're considered a medicine woman on the Hopi reservation, which won't mean a lot to many people, but I'd love just to hear a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been involved in the past.
Sure. Well, my heritage is I'm half Norwegian and I'm half Native Choctaw Cherokee. I'm adopted on the Hopi Reservation. I'm married to a Hopi man, and the Hopi Reservation is a small reservation in Arizona where I live that is surrounded by a bigger reservation, which is the Navajo Reservation. Most people know about Native Americans because they saw dances with wolves, and they relate to natives from that film. You know, they're Lakota Sioux natives. A lot of people, even in this country, believe that because of that film, Native Americans are something of the past. They don't exist, but they are alive and well and thriving. And it's really an important thing. I wrote a piece in my weekly free Earth Angel message that goes out about freedom. I was really contemplating what freedom means to us. And I started off with the fact that during the Indian Wars, there were over 12 million Native people killed. And, you know, we always tend to look towards World War II and the atrocity of how many Jews were killed. And that is important. And that's really hard to still carry, even though it's 80 some years later. But Native people, I mean, they're all over the United States. And, you know, there's not a lot of accountability in this country for that atrocity. I love going to Europe because there's monuments everywhere to World War I and World War II. It's like, you guys don't forget. And I wish there was more of that here in the States.
Yeah.
My background tends to be more on the Native side because I'm involved. You know, I'm adopted in Hopi, and you know, I work on a lot of people on the res, and yet my Norwegian heritage is very alive and well. It has. I wrote a book and did a set of oracle cards called Odin and the Nine Realms, because I had some really profound experiences in my spirit travels to different stone circles and sites in Norway, and met up with all the Norse gods. So what I want to say now in respect to the things that I'm sharing with you is we tend to relate to things based on what we've experienced. So for example, if I'm talking about meeting the Norse gods, maybe one of your listeners has had a weird moment in their grandmother's house and they thought they saw their grandma, you know, a ghost. And that's their point of reference. My point of reference, where I come from, is like really, really different than what most people will relate to. Oh, I had a tarot card reading. That's what I can relate to. Or, you know, I go to church, but I feel there's something more. That's what they relate to, which is great. But in the idea of understanding someone like me and all the things that I'm capable of doing, there has to be a point where a person steps outside of their own box and expands their consciousness and says, wow, okay, there are people on the earth that can do these things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really well explained. I love that. And I know that you run a meditation peace project. Tell us about that.
Once a month, I hold a Zoom meditation peace project where I take the group into a very deep state of peace, and we expand our peace so that it literally wraps around the world. There's healing that takes place during this. The angels come in and do healings on everybody. We put the world community in a circle, and the angels do a healing on them. We're really, the goal, and what I do is I talk people through the grounding meditation. Is my goal is to help people learn what that space, that inner peace really is, so that can be the go-to place that you opt out for, instead of I've got to go have a drink, or I've got to go shopping, I've got to get on my phone, whatever that addiction trigger is. It's like, no, I'm going to go into my inner peace now. And it is something that is learned, in my opinion. It's something that it helps to be directed where that is and how to expand it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So just tell us where people can find your stuff then. Obviously you've got your book, Spirit Traveler, Dancing with Raven and Bear, which I know have won Beverly Hills Book Awards. You've got an Earth Angel training course. That sounds interesting. And the Oracle Odin and the Nine Realms. Then I'm guessing everything is at sonjagrace.com. Is that right?
It is. And it's SonjaGrace.com. And you and I must be related.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Feels that way. Definitely.
Both of us being a Grace.
Yeah. Well, I'll put all that info in the in the show notes anyway. It's absolutely fantastic to talk to you. I'll have to have you back. Actually, I think you'll have to come back and we'll do something else. That. Yeah, let's come back on and we'll dig deeper into one of these kind of angles of the stuff that you do. That would be fantastic. I would love it. Love the sound of everything you're doing, and congratulations again on your amazing years of sobriety. It's just wonderful. Thank you so much for being a great guest, Sonja. I appreciate it. It's sonjagrace.com. Make sure you check it out, and all of Sonja's books. And just a reminder that I do offer family constellations workshops. If that's something that is of interest to you, looking at trauma, looking at different ways of untangling issues, then I offer one-to-one coaching, matrix reimprinting, and family constellation workshops, which are so powerful. They really can make such an unbelievable difference in your life. So do check that out. We'll be doing another family constellations workshop in the UK, probably in Hertfordshire, in September. So just register your interest. Drop me a message if that's something that's of interest to you. Make sure you check out the Sober Club for that connection piece, thesoberclub.com. You'd be very welcome to check that out. And please follow me on social media. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this interview at Janey Lee Grace. I'm very easy to find on social media. And if you message me, I'll do my best to reply to your messages. I'll see you next time. You've been listening to the Natural Health and Sobriety Show on UK Health Radio.